Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first day of IUCW Annual Leadership Summit. Our first speaker tonight is Dr. Anil Sahasrabudhe, Chairman of All India Council for Technical Education. Dr. Sahasrabudhe did his BE in Mechanical Engineering in 1980 from Karnataka University, securing first rank and a gold medal. He did his master's in 1982 and PhD in 1989, both from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. In between, he had brief stints of working as scientific officer in IISc and engineer trainee in Tata Consulting Engineers. Before starting his teaching career in Northeastern Regional Institute of Science and Technology, Itanagar, Arunachal Pradesh, and in newly started Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati from 1995. He held responsibilities such as Head of Mechanical Engineering, Chairman, Library Committee, Chairman JEE, Dean Academic Affairs, and Deputy Director till 2006. He thereafter joined on deputation in College of Engineering, Pune as director and turned around this institute, bringing it on in a reckoning amongst the top 15-20 institutes in India. He has been associated with several professional societies such as ASI, ISTE, IE, ASME, IET, ASEE, INAE, etc. He is recipient of Praj Entrepreneur Award 2011. Over to you, sir, Dr. Anil Sahasrabudhe.
I'm very happy that I'm here in the IUCE convention, whatever you call annual meet of leadership for enhancing institutional excellence in engineering education. I think this is a very important aspect, not only for our country, but for all countries. And this particular session, which I'm going to talk about, talks about all varieties of, excellence in not only just general education, but also primary education to higher education. So I think we are talking about excellence, and excellence comes at a cost. And excellence requires 3 F's: faculty, their qualification, quality, experience, and this is what we call as the knowledge which is transferred. And in Sanskrit or in Mahabharata, we have this Jnana or Jnana Yoga. Then there is the next one, which is facilities. We require excellent built environment, workshops, laboratories, equipment, and this is what people experience. And therefore, for this experiential learning, you have to do work by hand, and that is karma yoga. And then the third F is focus. Focus is in terms of commitment, passion, attitude, and we need to motivate our faculty, students, and therefore there is a variety of training that is required. And this is Dhyana Yoga. So you have to be concentrated, focused on your attention. And next slide, please. Yeah, this is a higher education scenario in India with more about 980 plus universities and variety of them. And out of this, 90 odd universities are all technical universities. And in fact, number has grown because many private institutions earlier are converted into full-fledged universities. For example, KLE Technology University is also one of those universities. And similarly, many states have many universities, and this number has crossed 100 now as we speak by. Next one. And if you have to make a real transformation, then there are challenges, and these challenges themselves will also give us lots of opportunities. Please look at the numbers. It's mind-boggling. Second largest technical education system in the world is in India, with 3.3 million admission capacity, of which 1.8 million seats are filled annually. That means multiplied by about 4 is you can have 6 to 7 million students who are studying engineering itself and variety of other courses. 500,000 plus regular faculty with a ratio which is very, very small. In fact, is 1:20. We had ideally earlier 1:15, but we don't have enough faculty, and therefore we have kept it at 1:20 and allowing enough number of courses to be taken through MOOCs courses, which are also created by MHRD and AICTE. The challenge is about employability of graduates, which various surveys talk about ranging from as low as 20% to sometimes 50%. And number of students going abroad for studies is 500,000 annually, and number of students coming in from outside is 45,000. Next one. So with these challenges which we are facing, AICTE in 2017 undertook a massive exercise of transforming the technical education towards excellence. And excellence, as I said in the beginning, does not come free. It has a lot of components and a lot of activities to be done, both in terms of training people as well as putting in enough resources. And one of them was regular revision of curriculum with the support of industry, which was not happening for a long time, and excellence cannot come without the support of industry, and therefore curriculum revision was taken as a very important exercise. Having changed the curriculum, I'll come to some of those slides which are salient features of that. If faculty development program, and we have added what is known as faculty certification program. So I will talk about that a little later. Student induction program, this is another innovation that we have done for freshman students when they join engineering school. Examination reforms, these are very important, and Professor Ashok Shettar will speak in detail later, so I will skip a little bit of that. Mandatory internship for students and faculty members as well. And then the Industry Institute, we used to call earlier interaction. I've started, in fact, saying that it is not mere interaction, but it is collaboration and partnership, which is important. Institute Innovation Councils, Entrepreneurship Cell and Incubators, and also accreditation, which is made mandatory, and the support system that we have developed for mandatory accreditation. Next one, please. So the philosophy of the curriculum design is on the lines of what we do for accreditation, the last point which I mentioned. And accreditation is made mandatory in the sense without accreditation of at least 50% of the courses through national accrediting body, which is NBA, in the next 3 years, the colleges will not be allowed to function. So I think there is a strict discipline which has been brought about in terms of getting accreditation. But accreditation requires outcomes, and this, to decide these outcomes, I think the correct the connectivity between the content that is delivered or devised and how students will take it, and finally graduate outcomes are achieved. And for that, one of the principal things is the design of curriculum, and whether it is creative, sensitive, good citizen creation as one of the important things, stakeholders, requirement and choice. In terms of employability of graduates, innovation and creativity, we want research, entrepreneurship, emphasize lifelong learning. I think all of this requires right kind of a mix in the curriculum, and we have come down to a 4-year undergrad program in engineering with 160 credits, and they are all divided between all the 4 years into 8 semesters. And I have already spoken about internship being made mandatory, at least one semester, whether it is in one full 6-month semester, or it could be 3 summer vacations of approximately 2 months each. So I think both are possibilities which we have asked institutions to perform. Next one, please. Yeah, so one of the committees, Dr. Mohan Reddy committee, gave us an indication that the number of seats remaining vacant in engineering schools being about 50–55%. We decided that no more new colleges will be started in the usual domains like civil, mechanical, electrical, electronics, chemical, metallurgy, and so on. Instead, we must have courses or specializations, either full-time degree programs or at least a major and minor degree program with major in mechanical or electronics or computer, with a minor in emerging areas like artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, robotics, 3D printing, quantum computing, blockchain, augmented reality, virtual reality, design philosophy, cybersecurity, and data science. I think this was what was a transformation that has started. And all the new programs which are given this year, they contain one of these 10 emerging areas. Without that, no approvals are being granted for both existing institutions to increase capacity or a new institution coming into existence even by the government. So I think the model which I have already talked about has a lot of flexibility, and all the 12 graduate attributes which NBA or the accreditation body expects are in some form or the other embedded here. And many other facilities which I said earlier, whether it is student induction program, whether it is mandatory internship, whether it is hands-on experience, all of that is embedded in the curriculum, which has been given as a model curriculum, and institutions and universities are allowed to take cue from out of that and tweak according to their own vision, mission of the institution. Next one. So I'm just reflecting this slide. This is very important because at times students who come into engineering sometimes feel that they are not fit for this, and probably they have better skill sets. So there is a vocational framework which has been developed in India. So the movement of students from vocational stream into the mainstream engineering curriculum with degree in engineering, or students of degree in engineering who are studying after 1 or 2 years, if they feel that they are not comfortable here, they should be able to move out to the skill framework. So I think this transitioning is being allowed. Very few institutions have started making use of this, but this is very important in a country like our size, where we want such movement to be taking place to the convenience of the students who are taking this education. Next one. Yeah, the teacher training, which I have already reflected. Next one. We have two types of important things which you have included. One is the induction of the teachers themselves. So we have developed 8-module training program. Each one of these 8 modules are almost equivalent to 3 credit courses. So it is equivalent to about 20 to 24 credits that a faculty member has to achieve or earn before he becomes a regular faculty or a tenure faculty in the sense of US terminology. And these contain general orientation towards technical education per se, inculcation of values and attitudes, communication skills, instructional planning and classroom delivery, technology-enabled learning and lifelong learning, effective modes of student evaluation, creative problem solving, innovation, meaningful R&D, and finally, institutional management and administrative procedures, because in the life cycle of a teacher, one will go through from the starting to the ending, that is, his career has to grow. So all of these 8 modules are part of the mandatory modules of about 3 credits, and unless one qualifies through that and also undergoes a 1 semester long summer internship and also practice that under the tutelage, mentoring of a senior faculty for about 1 semester, a certificate is not granted, and without that certificate, a faculty, even if he is already teaching in an institution for about 3 to 4 years, and is not regularized, he will not be regularized, he will not be given tenure, and he has to complete all of this and start practicing. The next one is about, next slide please. So I think the various facets of this particular program is shown in this particular diagram. But most important part of this is these Atal Academies, which have been instituted in different parts of the country for giving training to faculty members in those emerging 10 areas. And these are all essentially 5 days to 7 days programs where experts from industry and academia, starting from IITs and many institutions, they come physically. They were giving training to faculty members of 5 days duration in the face-to-face mode. In the last year, out of 200 programs that we had planned, we could complete about 185 programs and 9,600 faculty were trained in these areas. But because of pandemic that arose and therefore suddenly we had to stop all of this, we decided to continue the program in the form of the virtual mode, that is using technology, whether it is Zoom, whether it is Microsoft Teams, whether it is Google Classroom, or whether it is WebEx platform. And I'm very happy that in the last 3 months, we have conducted 85 programs and they are going on. And out of 85 programs, the number of faculty trained has been, in fact, double the last year. With less than half the programs conducted, more number of faculty could be trained because of the use of technology. Earlier, we used to have 50 people per session or the workshop. Today we have 200, 300, sometimes 400, but we have come down to a standard number of 200 to 250, which is very effective as much as in a face-to-face mode. The next one. Then comes the mandatory student induction program. This is very crucial and important. As I said, 6 months, and we have an elaborate booklet which is published as to what they need to do, students, when they go to the industry for internship, and what faculty members and industry should engage in advance. Next one. And then activities have to be planned, and that is very, very significant. The next one is the student induction program, which I had referred to, and these are induction activities where in the beginning of the semester for the freshman students, before starting of the classes, we have these various types of activities for 3 weeks. Physical activity starting from morning 5:30, 6 o'clock, going to the actual playground and playing games rather than computer games, yoga and variety of exercises. Then sessions on creative arts, whether it is dance, drama, music, all type of arts, they are also embedded in this 3 weeks program. Universal human values. So these are universal in nature and irrespective of region, caste, creed, language, geographical area. I think all of us have some basic traits as human beings and our connect with nature and the environment. I think we do all that exercise for students, and before that we train faculty members in this area. Literary activities, there are proficiency modules in different technologies, lectures by eminent people, visits to local areas like industry, geographically important place, familiarization. Of course, every institution was already doing earlier also with the department, the branch, and the innovative activities, the alumni, what they are doing, etc. I think this is a very comprehensive 3 weeks package, starting from morning 6:30 to late night. Students are engaged in all these activities, and after that, that ownership is developed between the institution and the students and the mentor faculty who is associated with these programs during those 3 weeks. So that faculty becomes a natural, as a corollary, a guide, a mentor, a philosopher for those set of 20-25 students who are operated into all these modules through that faculty members. I think this is a wonderful program, has rich dividends which we have found from various feedbacks, both from students, from the faculty. Their attitude has changed, their culture of working has changed, and there is a lot of success in the institution. The next one. So I talked about induction program. There is an absolute, great improvement that has happened in terms of the achievements of the institution, whether it is in terms of even research, in terms of classroom attendance, in terms of results, and the students are also pretty happy because of the program that has been conducted. Next one. Now comes the exam reforms. I'll just touch upon that the basic philosophy that we have adopted is using Bloom's taxonomy. And rather than students going through rote learning, which unfortunately right from the KG classes to universities, postgraduate classes in our country we used to have, we have started transforming that into using Bloom's taxonomy and engaging students in terms of not just memorizing. Some part is okay, but beyond that is not allowed. So whether it is in terms of remembering and understanding of the subject is only limited to 36%. And in that also focus is on understanding. And then analyzing and critical thinking, 18% of the questions in the question paper. And for synthesis, application, creativity, innovation, the number is almost 50%, around 46%. And with this, certainly the work culture, the way students look at examination will completely transform, and the real learning will start taking place. Because earlier, because the examinations were all based on rote learning, they were able to reproduce without understanding, and now just not understanding where do they apply, not only to their courses and subjects, can they apply to different domains as well, and how we can have a cross-disciplinary ideas generated and seeded. All of that is part of this, and this is very significant both in terms of problem solving, which is very important for employability skills, and this examination reforms which will be talked about by Professor Shettar later. He was the chairman of that committee. I will stop here and go to the next slide, please. Internship policy, next slide. So the connect between the industry and the institute has to be very robust, and we have recommended about 700 hours of activity points, and this is to be done for diploma and similarly for degree, and these are part of the internship activities. So the problem statement has to be decided in advance by a meeting between faculty, whether it is training and placement officer, head of the department, and the industry, and then the work has to be done in an industry. And every institute for certain purposes has to keep a budget of 1% of their total budget for these activities. We have recently launched a platform called NEET platform, and this NEET platform stands for National Educational Alliance for Technologies. It has some relationship with internship, that's why I posted here. And these are all artificial intelligence based several software tools which startups and many companies have developed for personalized learning by students. A student is interested in, say, IoT or 3D printing or some area. These tools will check the level of knowledge, understanding that the student has based on his prior learning and guide him through this particular robotic way of making him learn, ask him to look at certain classes, certain videos, train him, take his test and move forward. And all of this is by using AI. And there have been some charges associated with this, a small fee that the companies who have developed this charge for students. But from the perspective of the social responsibility, we have asked for 25% of the seats free from these companies for every 4 seats. 1 seat is given as free, which we allotted to the economically weaker sections of the society who are deprived in the, so for example, SC, ST and OBC, and thereby those who cannot afford are also taken care of in some way. So I think this has been a great success. And during pandemic, these companies on their own came forward, and whatever small fee they were charging, they said they will withdraw for time being. And in the last 3 months, they have all withdrawn. More than 10 million students observed this. They studied in between, and 4 lakh students got certified in the last 400,000, 4 lakh students have got certified during these last 3 months. But now, once the pandemic is over, this platform will continue. However, that small fee which they were charging earlier will continue. But these are the type of activities through which students, not only it is sort of like an internship on one side, employability skill development on the other side, and last but not the least, they can become entrepreneurs through this domain, because these are all in the emerging areas. Next one. Overall student performance analysis, we have a robust mechanism of how do we evaluate by the industry, by the faculty, and by the presentation of seminar by the students in a classroom. Now comes the perspective plan, which I already indirectly indicated. We had a committee which allowed only certain domains to be given as the new programs and not others, and that is what is already implemented. Next one, please. So these are those areas which I am not going to repeat. We'll go ahead. But one part which I would like to mention is in the mandatory accreditation, making a law that all the institutions should get their 50% of the programs accredited is easy, but really implementing was difficult. And therefore, what we have done is both in terms of 2 important things, that is internships and mandatory accreditation. We needed to support the institutions. Without that, it was not possible. Institutions in the cities possibly will have wherewithal, they can have interaction with industry and get internship. So we have developed an internship portal, and on which several small and medium-sized industries and large industries post their internships and the requirements that they expect from the students with their the prior knowledge and prior learning. And on the other side, students who are interested, depending on their location, geographical location, as well as their college as well as their interests, we try to do matchmaking. And once matched, industry has the last laugh. They will see whoever have matched between the two requirements, they can take interview, and finally the selected candidate is offered internship with stipend. I think that is what we have created. More than 300,000 internships are available on the AICTE portal by 4,500 different variety of industries. Now coming to the accreditation part of it, we found that many institutions do not know what is accreditation, how it is to be looked at as a continuous improvement process rather than one-time exercise. And therefore, how do you decide your vision, mission, goals for the institution? How you have your curriculum being revised? How do you connect different courses with the outcomes that you want to achieve? And then how do you really engage in the classroom and teaching learning process, evaluation, all of that in an integrated manner, including the presence of industry and alumni. I think that was very, very important. What we did is we identified some institutions, and we had a program called Margadarshan. So a well-to-do institution, an institution which has achieved excellence, should help other 10 institutions in terms of not only accreditation, but in all its facets. That we had already started, but that took off only to a little level. So what we decided was to engage faculty who are close to retirement or already retired. Such people were enlisted, and they were allotted 2 to 3 institutions where they will go constantly and then help them. And this is called the Margadarshak scheme, where about 660 Margadarshiks are today identified, trained to mentor the institution. And 40 institutions are doing Margadarshan scheme. So in all, about 800 to 1,000 institutions are actively engaged in improving the quality. And if we do this exercise for about 3 to 4 years, not only all those institutions whom we have mandated that they must get accreditation is possible to be achieved, and a cycle of innovation, cycle of, or what we call spiral of not only innovation and excellence will start to happen. And that is the imagination with which we have started these programs. Next one. So industry mandatory cell has to be established by every institution. Next one. And there are certain qualities which industries looks at. I'm not going to read out details, but some basic skills which the industry looks at, some basic attributes it looks at, and all of these are some mode of mix of accreditations, 12 graduate attribute parameters on one side, and AICTE's 10 different quality initiatives. They are all linked in some way or the other. And if we are able to do all of that, we will certainly create not just 20–50% employable engineers, but near 100% employable engineers. Next one. Yeah, then this is a cell which we have said, and each institution has to at least sign MOUs with 5 organizations, that is industries. And some institutions who face difficulties, we are trying to support them. Next. So institution innovation cell is an important thing. We have a MHRD innovation cell established in AICTE for creating ideas, new ideas, transforming ideas into actual action, into products, processes, and even to the extent of going and filing patents and creating startups and environmental ecosystem. So I think that is the role innovation cell of AICTE has been carrying out for the last 2 years. Many institutions have come forward and they have their own respective innovation council, and every month some activity or the other is given towards innovation. We started all this 2 years back, but look at some of the initiatives which we had taken prior to that in an informal manner. Ranking of India increased or catapulted from 81st rank to 52nd rank in 5 years. And the potential that we have is likely to be within the top 20, and the activity that we are performing now will certainly lead to top 20 and top 10 in the years to come. Yeah, we have these various types of activities. Take a previous one, I'll just quickly show through. Yeah, we have Atal Innovation for what what we have one side Atal training programs, but here it is Atal ranking system of institutions on innovation and its achievements. Then Smart India Hackathon, we have been doing it for the last 4 years. Institution councils, which I have said, we have created a program, which is a MBA or PGDM program in innovation, entrepreneurship, and venture development. We have enunciated a startup policy of our own and the development of other policy frameworks for the state level or the university level. We have been working with them. Yeah, this is one of the world's biggest hackathon. The numbers are certainly mind-boggling because we are a very huge country by population, 1.3 billion population. When we announced the problem statements, we received inputs. First year, of course, 40,000, next year 1 lakh, next year 2 lakh, this year 3 lakh. So many students are interested in participating in hackathon. And we shortlist them, we funnel them down to about 10,000. And these 10,000 students go to 48 different centers and solve the problems of the government, state governments, different variety of industries. Even some of the startups give us problem statements and the community gives problem. All of them are solved by students in a 36-hour non-stop without sleeping problem solution. That is what is done by the undergrad students. And this is absolutely empowering, whether it is in terms of communication skills, whether it is in terms of problem solving ability, whether it is in terms of use of modern technology, whether it is in terms of teamwork, whether it is in terms of providing leadership, whether it is time management. All the facets which industry looks at for employability is all embedded into this program. The next slide. Next. This is that view. You can see the bubbling activity during about 36 hours, especially during nighttime, how students are active without sleeping. Next one. Picking up from this, during this COVID-19 time, we had 3 hackathons. 2 hackathons are already over, and these were not physically students coming together, but these were all on the online platform. Ideathon was the first one, Samadhan was the second one, and the third very large one with a formal possible budget of 100 crore rupees is already launched, which is called Drug Discovery Hackathon, which has a lot of computational work to identify molecules which can solve the problem of COVID-19, to actually testing it in the laboratory, wet experiments, and then getting it to it. We already have India-Singapore Hackathon happening for 2 years. Portugal India Hackathon, ASEAN India Hackathon are on the cards in September and October. And then Australia Hackathon is likely to be in December, January. South Africa India Hackathon. I think we want every college, university, and state level hackathons and prepare students for problem solving abilities. Next one. Yeah, this is the portal Swayam, where online courses are available to the extent of 2,500. More than 1 crore users are there. 20% of the credits are allowed through this platform, so that students need not be in a difficulty if they have some faculty or not faculty in a particular domain. They can still take these courses and then transfer those credits to their respective universities' transcripts. Next one. This is the launch of the startup policy, Honorable former President, and we further improved it in the year 2019. So from 16 to 19, we had some difficulties. We overcame them and then have a new policy in 2019. Yeah, these are 10 technology domains of imprint which MHRD has been supporting. And these are all very common: healthcare, sustainable energy, water and river systems, advanced materials, nanoscience, defense and security, manufacturing. I think in these domains, AICT also has been allowing PhD students to get scholarship and work on these areas. And MHRD has such kind of projects by involving industry as well as the MHRD's funding. People can work on all of these areas. Next one. So other activities, as I said, include Gyan, where foreign faculty can come here and give lectures with the full support from MHRD, either for 1 week or 2 weeks. Spark, today itself there was a meeting, and we have projects which have to be delivered by combination of not only one discipline but multiple disciplines on one side, and projects should be multi-country based. So it is not just Indian faculty member who should be associated, but faculty from any of the top 500 universities in the world should be associated. So this is creating a good benchmark for collaboration between Indian universities and colleges and the colleges and universities abroad. Arpit, for training of faculty, GAN Plus as against GAN is our faculty also should be able to go abroad and give lectures. So for that we have GAN Plus. National Digital Library located in IIT Kharagpur with about more than 3 crore voluminous documents. People can just search and then get the document downloaded or read it. National Academic Depository, all the certificates of all the graduates hereafter should be on the common platform, and verification of degrees must be possible. I will not read, many of them are very, very interesting, but I would like to mention about this internship portal, which is with Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. There are 100 smart cities. There are about 4,000 odd local governing bodies, corporations and town parishads, etc. All of them have several kind of challenges on one side, and students can get training. So we are signing MOU, and the portal is available for getting the governmental experience for our students on one side, and with their out-of-the-box ideas, they can solve the problems which are civic problems, whether it is in terms of health, hygiene, whether it is in terms of water resources, all the challenges that the municipalities and the corporations face, they are likely to be engaged by the students, and then we will be in a position to solve. Same is with National Highway Authority of India and many other industries. I will not mention all of them. We have lots of awards instituted for excellent work by the institutions, for the projects which are useful for villages, Smart, Clean and Green Campus Awards. And then during COVID-19, those institutions who have exceedingly performed well in terms of societal interaction, helping society, people who are in difficulty, we have an award meant for them. We will announce it in the coming months. So these initiatives have constantly started improving the number of publications here, number of patents, number of PhDs, all the parameters have started improving based on the action that we have started taking in the last 4 or 5 years. Next one. Same is the case of whether it is Web of Science or any other parameter which you take, the contribution of Indian educational system, and in particular tier 2, tier 3 system has been phenomenally good. That's what we want to showcase here. It's not that only IITs are performing, but there are many smaller institutions who are contributing, thereby the net increase in the number of publications is happening. Next one. This is in terms of Elsevier Scopus journals. Research output is constantly on the increase, and we are today 5th largest number of paper publishing country in the world. Next one. Thank you very much. I think it was a little longer, but I wanted to convey many activities which have been performed or being done in order to improve the quality as well as create excellence in our institutions.
Thank you, Anil. Thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you, Dr. Sahasrabudhe. We all are grateful for the time and efforts you took to share various AICTE initiatives and their impact and your experiences with us. Thanks again.
Thank you, Anil. Thank you so much. It's such an exciting talk you gave. I think it's extremely useful for everybody that is here. We have almost 300 people with us. So I want to thank all the participants for listening, and some really exciting things going on. So I look forward to working with you closely when I return to India next month, once the commercial flights bring me back.
Yeah. Thank you very much. But last word, see, I am seeing the certificate here on the portal.
You
I,
got
ho-
it.
no. I only hope it is the same way. It is only virtual, and don't send me a real
No, we won't
memento
send.
on card. Don't send it. I have been advocating that instead of doing this kind of a job, please plant one sapling and grow
Yes.
it. And in a certificate, just show a paper certificate, a QR code, and show
Mhm.
the growth of the plant every 6 months.
Yes.
I'm showing
Yes.
the picture of that. That's what I have been advocating. So don't send
No, we are sending.
digital
We
one.
don't plan to send. This is just virtual.
Virtual is good.
Thank you very much, Anil. That was so amazing work that you guys are doing. And there's India has a lot of potential, and you're helping develop that potential among the young people in India. Thank you.